The Mysterious Old Book, Part 1. It was a rainy afternoon in the small town of Willow Creek. The streets were empty, and the sound of raindrops hitting the windows filled the air. Inside the town library, a boy named Daniel sat at a wooden desk, flipping through a pile of books. Daniel was 16 years old, curious, and always searching for something new to learn. That day, the library was unusually quiet. Even the librarian, Mrs. Green, had gone home early because of the storm. Daniel didn't mind. He loved being alone with the shelves full of old books. The library always felt like another world to him. As he walked through the long rows of shelves, he noticed something strange. On the bottom of one dusty shelf, hidden behind thick dictionaries, there was a very old leather-bound book. The cover was dark brown, almost black, and decorated with faded golden symbols. It didn't have a title. Daniel pulled the book out and blew away the dust. The leather was cracked, and the pages inside looked yellow and fragile. His heart started to beat faster. Something about the book felt different. He sat back at the desk and opened it carefully. On the first page, written in handwriting that looked hundreds of years old, were the words, "To the one who finds this book, be ready, for stories are alive." Daniel frowned. "Stories are alive? What does that even mean?" he whispered. He turned the page. The next page showed a drawing of a forest, so detailed it almost looked like a photograph. The strange thing was, when Daniel touched the drawing, he felt something, like the wind moving through trees. He pulled his hand back quickly. "That's impossible," he said to himself. But his curiosity grew stronger. Slowly, he placed his hand on the page again. This time, the world around him seemed to shake. The sound of rain faded, the smell of books disappeared, and suddenly, Daniel was no longer in the library. He was standing in the middle of a dark forest. Tall trees surrounded him, their branches moving in the wind. The ground was covered with wet leaves. He could hear birds, and somewhere in the distance, the howl of a wolf. Daniel's eyes widened. "No way! I'm inside the book!" He looked down and saw the leather-bound book still in his hands, glowing faintly. For a few minutes, he just stood there, amazed and terrified at the same time. The forest felt so real. The cold air, the damp earth, even the sound of his own breathing echoing in the silence. Suddenly, a voice broke the quiet. "Who are you?" Daniel turned quickly. A girl about his age was standing a few steps away. She wore old-fashioned clothes, a simple dress, boots, and a cloak. Her dark hair was tied back, and her green eyes watched him carefully. I'm Daniel," he said nervously. "Where am I?" "You're in the Forest of Shadows," the girl answered. "And you shouldn't be here. It's dangerous." Daniel clutched the book tighter. "I didn't mean to come here. I think this book brought me." The girl's eyes widened. "The book? Show me." He held it up. Her face turned pale. "That book, it's forbidden. No one should open it." Daniel's heart raced. "Why? What is this place? What's going on?" The girl didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked around nervously, as if something was watching them. Then she whispered, "If the book chose you, it means something is coming, something big. You need to be careful." Before Daniel could ask more, a loud sound echoed through the forest, branches snapping, heavy footsteps moving closer. The girl grabbed his arm. "Run!" she shouted. Daniel and the girl dashed through the forest, their footsteps splashing in the mud. Behind them, the sound grew louder. Something was chasing them. Daniel glanced back for a moment and saw glowing red eyes in the darkness. They ran until they reached an old stone bridge across a river. The girl stopped to catch her breath. "We can't stay here," she said quickly. "The shadows will find us." Daniel was still gasping. "The shadows? What are they?" She looked at him seriously. "You'll see soon enough. But first, you need to decide, do you really want to stay in this world, or do you want to do back?" Daniel held the book tightly and looked around. The forest, the danger, the mystery, it was terrifying, but also exciting. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was part of a real adventure. "I think," he said slowly, "I want to stay, at least until I understand what's happening." The girl sighed, but nodded. "Then stay close to me. My name is Alara. If you want to survive here, you'll need help." And so Daniel and Alara crossed the bridge together, the sound of the river beneath them, while the red eyes continued to glow in the shadows of the forest. Daniel and Alara walked deeper into the forest, the old stone bridge disappearing behind them. The trees grew taller and darker, and the path became narrow. The air was cold and heavy, filled with the smell of wet earth and moss. Daniel still held the strange book tightly in his hands. Its faint glow gave him just enough light to see. Every time he glanced at it, he felt both curious and afraid. Ilara spoke quietly as they walked. "That book is not just any book. It was created a long time ago by a group of powerful storytellers. They believed that stories should not only be read, but lived, so they made this book a door into other worlds." Daniel listened carefully, his heart racing. "But why is it forbidden? It sounds amazing." Alara shook her head. "Because stories are not always safe. Some of them are full of light and hope, but others are full of darkness. And once you enter, you can't always control where the book takes you." As she finished speaking, the sound of footsteps echoed again in the distance. Heavy, slow, and getting closer. Daniel froze. "They're here," Ilara whispered. "The shadows." Before Daniel could react, dark shapes began to appear between the trees. They didn't look human. Tall, twisted figures with glowing red eyes, moving without sound, except for the crunch of leaves beneath them. Ilara grabbed Daniel's hand. "Don't let go. Whatever happens, don't drop the book." They started running again, pushing through the thick branches, their breath quick and heavy. The forest seemed endless, every tree looking the same. Daniel's legs burned, but fear pushed him forward. At last, they reached a clearing. In the center stood an ancient stone tower, half ruined but still tall against the stormy sky. Ilara pointed. "There! That's the watchtower! If we can reach the top, we'll be safe, for now." They hurried inside. The tower was dark and filled with broken stairs, but they climbed quickly. The sound of shadows followed them, growing louder. Finally, they reached the top. From there, Daniel could see the endless forest stretching in every direction, the moonlight shining faintly through the clouds. For a moment, he felt safe. But then, one of the shadow creatures appeared at the bottom of the tower, slowly climbing the steps. More followed behind. Daniel panicked. "We're trapped! What do we do?" Ilara looked at the book in his hands. The book brought you here. Maybe it can take us somewhere else. Try opening it. Daniel quickly opened the book. The pages turned by themselves, faster and faster, until they stopped on a blank page. Suddenly, words began to appear in glowing letters. The story is yours to write. What happens next depends on you. Daniel stared at it. Me? But I don't know what to write. Ilara grabbed his shoulder. Think, Daniel. Imagine what you want. The book will follow your thoughts. The sound of the shadows climbing grew louder. Daniel closed his eyes, holding the book tightly. He thought about light, about safety, about escaping the darkness. He imagined a shining gate opening in front of them, leading somewhere far away from the shadows. When he opened his eyes, the blank page was now filled with a drawing, a glowing golden gate. And just like before, the picture began to move. The light grew brighter until it filled the whole tower. Ilara gasped, "It's working!" The shadows burst through the tower door just as the golden light surrounded Daniel and Ilara. The creatures screamed and stopped, unable to enter the brightness. Then, in an instant, Daniel and Ilara were pulled through the gate. When Daniel opened his eyes again, he was lying on the floor of the library. The rain was still falling outside, and everything looked normal. The old leather-bound book rested in his hands, its glow now gone. He sat up quickly, looking around. The library was empty. Was it all just a dream? But then he heard a voice. "Daniel?" He turned, and there was Ilara, standing near the shelves, wearing her cloak. She looked completely real. Daniel's jaw dropped. You're here? But how?" Ilara smiled softly. "The book doesn't close a story. It only changes where it continues. Now your world and mine are connected, and as long as you have the book, the adventure isn't over." Daniel looked down at the book again. The golden symbols on the cover were glowing faintly once more. His heart raced, not with fear this time, but with excitement. He realized something important. This wasn't just a story. This was the beginning of many stories, and he was now part of them. Ilara walked closer. "Be ready, Daniel. The shadows will not stop. They will find their way here too. But together we can face them." Daniel nodded. For the first time, his ordinary life felt extraordinary. He stood up, holding the mysterious old book close to his chest. Then, let's begin. And as the storm raged outside, the library became the starting point of a new adventure, one that was only just beginning. That's all for today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to practice your English every day. See you in the next video, my friend. Bye-bye.